Hi, my name is Mitchell Toews, and I'd like to read for you an excerpt from a story called The Margin of the River. I found myself accidentally on purpose driving by the house where the pit bull bit me the day before when I was out for my morning walk. There was a pickup truck riding my tail, so I drove by the place a little faster than I wanted to, peering sideways and bobbing my head to see if the dogs were out, loose again. The truck rumbled by, and I reached a point where the road came down beside the river and then cut south towards the Trans-Canada Highway. Without meaning to, I touched the tender spot on my thigh where the dog had bitten me. Quite a chomp, piercing through 2 pairs of sweatpants. It was cold yesterday. There had been 2, a white mutt who thought we were playing and the big terrier, bred for aggression. His ears trimmed off savagely. I felt guilty about the whole thing because I had made a fuss, shouting at the dog's owner and sending a text to the local animal control. I wish the dogs had been tied up, I thought, slowing as I neared a sharp curve in the road ahead. Cautiously, I pulled the car off the road and down a gravel trail that led onto the sandy riverbed during low water levels. The narrow path was only 3 or 4 car lengths long now, because the river was so unusually full for this time of year. I wanted to take my coffee down to the water's edge. It was quietly thrilling to be next to the Fraser when it was running this high. Being close to it lets you feel the might, to sense the weight and the vastness of the water, how it is immeasurable, beyond human scale in its capacity to give or to take. A large cedar tree stump made a fine seat there on the margin of the river. I stopped counting rings after 100, resting my coffee on the long ago sawn surface and checking Twitter. After a while I stood up, looking across at the opposite shore. The moving mass of gray-green water in the foreground made me dizzy, and I focused on a nearby tree trunk to regain equilibrium. Next to the tree was a small white object. It stuck up oddly and looked out of place. I strained to see, but there were too many alders and willow whips and too much tall grass in the way. Hopping down from the stump, I stepped up instead onto a good-sized fallen poplar log. Walking along its slippery length, I stopped when I was about 10 feet from the mystery object. From where I stood on the log, I had a strong vantage point. Looking down in the good morning light, I could clearly see the 2 dogs that had attacked me the day before. They lay stiff-legged in rigor mortis, held by death in the tall grass a few feet from the unstoppable current. The white dog lay atop the other. Her thin neck was broken, and she faced north, across the water to the far mountains. The reddish pit bull, young I could see now, lay staring up at me with unblinking black eyes as I balanced above him. A shuddering sadness grasped me. I stood precariously on the wet tree trunk and saw where the bullet had gone into the skull, its forehead stove in, and the lovely red fur singed black around the bloody hole. In a glance, I saw the dogs and knew what had happened and why. I felt the cold cruelty that had allowed it to be done, there beside the wide winter river. This sadness was like an alien being, a damp, formal figure that held me upright against the log, its grip pulling the warmth out of me and slowing the beat of my heart. It had waited with the 2 dogs, crouching there patiently and protecting them throughout the night. It came to me now and passed along its grim burden. And in that instant, when I accepted the terrible weight the sadness placed on me, I could love the dogs. I could love the pit bull and how it raced out to challenge me and protected the yard and the people in the house. I could feel the joy in the white mutt, hear again the laughing bark, and see her bright eyes as she chased after me across the frosted grass. And that's it. Thanks.